A startling warning for students in the East Valley, what health officials are telling schools to look out for Monday morning following a wildland fire. And an inclusive celebration in the Coachella Valley, how you and your family can take part in the music, dance, and rich tradition.
And we've had a toasty week, but things are going to change, and they're going to change soon. I'll have details you don't want to miss coming up.
First in the Coachella Valley, you're watching KMIR TV Palm Springs, where the news comes first. KMIR News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sarah Sanchez. First on KMIR, the Riverside County Department of Environmental Health recommends local schools take precautions after Thursday's fire in Mecca. That fire burned through grape stakes, which may contain chemicals in the ash, such as arsenic. Environmental health staff have taken wipe samples of surfaces, but results won't be available until next week. This may affect two schools in the area, Mecca Elementary School and Saul Martinez Elementary. Out of an abundance of caution, the environmental health is recommending residents and schools in the area clean outdoor tables, benches, playground equipment, and pet dishes. And a traffic alert if you're planning to head west this evening on the 10. Traffic is backed up from Indian Avenue in Palm Springs all the way to Beaumont on the I-10 West. Now, if you're planning to leave now, you might want to wait for that to clear up. And the beat of the drums echo in Indio today as the Cabazon Band of Mission Indians host a powwow. KMIR's Tyler Harrison takes us there.
We all dance to the same drum.
The 36th annual Indio powwow.
We're sharing history, we're sharing culture, we're expressing ourselves as tribes through dance, through singing. And a lot of tribes have different origination stories of their dance, whether it's the traditional, the grass, the straight, the fancy, the jingle. We're not singling out one specific tribe, whereas all the tribes come together and we all celebrate together.
Togetherness through the universal language of music.
It doesn't matter if you listen to native music or rap or hip-hop, music is healing. And as a result of the music, our body interprets those feelings and we dance. It doesn't matter if you dance at a powwow. Dance is a celebration of life. Music is a celebration of life.
A celebration you're invited to attend.
The dancing is phenomenal. You can tell how proud they are to be here and to perform. Particularly like the drumming. The drumming is something that you can't forget. The beat and the pounding.
Tyler Harrison, KMIR News.
Now, the powwow continues tomorrow. Doors open at 11 a.m. The grand entrance is at noon. Now, a Coachella Valley boxer is competing for the gold medal at the AIBA Women's Youth Boxing Championship in India. Citlali Ortiz is 3-0 at the tournament and will be fighting for the gold medal in the welterweight division. Ortiz has 4 gold medals already and has won 3 national championships. She trains at the world-renowned Lia Espinosa Coachella Boxing Club. In round 2 of the championship in India, Ortiz was named the most standout boxer. Ortiz already has her eyes set on the 2020 Olympics, and we hope that we see her there. Now let's get a quick check of the forecast tonight. Luz Delia Caballero standing by with what we can expect this beautiful Saturday evening. Luz Delia.
Well, we're going to have some beautiful overnight lows tonight in the low 60s. And going into tomorrow, especially moving into next week, those high peak heat of the day temperatures are going to go down into the 70s. But before we get too into that, I just want you to get a good grasp of what we have moving ahead. So it is going to be a warm weekend. So once you wrap your head around that and move on, it's only temporary. And of course, we do have a cooler week ahead. Current temperatures outside 72 degrees in Palm Desert, 79 in La Quinta, 75 in Indio. As far as wind speeds go, rather calm along the valley floor, and that's going to continue to be the case moving on into tomorrow. And as far as our overnight temperatures, absolutely beautiful. 74 at 7 by 9, 70 degrees, 67 by 11 by 1, 65, and 64 by 3. So those temperatures are going to keep going down, especially moving on into our next work week. Sarah.
Right, thanks, Liz Delia. A 70-year-old California man who spent almost 40 years of his life in prison for murders he didn't commit is now free. A California Governor Jerry Brown pardoned Craig Coley Wednesday. In 1978, Coley was convicted of raping, beating, and strangling a woman and killing her 4-year-old son. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Investigators later determined a key piece of DNA evidence did not match Coley's genetic code. Coley had always maintained his innocence, and investigators now believe the detective who handled his case either mishandled the investigation or framed him.
When they arrested me, I told them, you can do whatever you want to me, but don't stop looking for the person that did this, because you have the wrong man.
Brown ordered Coley's immediate release, making him the longest-serving California prisoner to be granted clemency. The man who was going to launch himself into space on a homemade rocket to prove the Earth is flat has canceled his flight. Self-taught rocket scientist and daredevil Mad Mike Hughes planned on launching his rocket today in California. He was forced to cancel his flight because he did not have the required federal permits to launch his homemade steam-powered rocket. But Hughes still plans to launch sometime next week. After surviving the mass shooting at the Route 91 festival, a man is struck and killed in a hit-and-run crash. Kelsey Thomas has the story from Nevada.
I'm angry. I feel that he probably was under the influence of something or drunk and didn't want to get caught. So he bailed and left my husband laying there in the street.
It's the outcome Denise McClellan could have never predicted. A hit-and-run driver plowing into her husband as he walked on the highway in Pahrump.
I think if I could have done differently, maybe he wouldn't have been on that road.
It happened a week ago along Route 160. Roy McClellan hitchhiking just weeks after surviving the Route 91 shooting massacre.
It was just ear-piercing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is that noise? This is horrible.
As round after round of bullets were unloaded into the crowd below Mandalay Bay, Denise and Roy ran for their lives. Roy stopping to help people along the way.
It was really messing with his head, and he was going to therapy.
Less than 7 weeks later, tragedy struck again.
This is not what I wanted for him. I don't understand why he wasn't taken at the shooting, but a month later he gets taken this way.
That was Kelsey Thomas reporting. Well, people bid farewell to a U.S. Border Patrol agent who was killed in a mysterious attack last week. A private funeral mass was held for Agent Rogelio Martinez in El Paso, Texas today. He and his partner were found severely beaten at a tunnel structure near the Mexican border last Saturday. Martinez died from his injuries the next day. His partner is still recovering. The partner says he doesn't remember anything about the attack. Attorney General Jeff Sessions also attended the ceremony for Martinez. Federal officials are still investigating. President Donald Trump is in Florida for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Trump has picked a fight with a national news magazine on Twitter this morning and faces a potential federal agency showdown when he gets back to Washington. NBC's Chris Pallone reports.
President Donald Trump laying low in Florida Saturday. When he returns to Washington, he faces a federal agency standoff and an escalating probe into his campaign's ties to Russia. The president named Management and Budget Director Nick Mulvaney interim head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, while the agency's former director named his own successor before he left, leaving who's actually in charge an open question. Late today, President Trump tweeting, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, has been a total disaster as run by the previous administration's pick. Financial institutions have been devastated and unable to properly serve the public. We will bring it back to life.
The president has appointed somebody who thinks the organization has no reason to exist, similar to what he did with the Department of Environmental Protection.
Trump allies are downplaying news that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's lawyers are no longer consulting with Trump's lawyers in the Russia probe.
Whether that means he's going to cooperate against other persons or just try to negotiate a better deal for himself remains to be seen.
And in a less serious matter, Trump this weekend claimed he passed on being Time Magazine's Person of the Year, saying he was informed he would probably be chosen for a second straight year.
The American people don't give a hoot who's on the cover of Time Magazine, and we wish very deeply that our president would concentrate on other things.
Time responded on Twitter, the president is incorrect about how we choose Person of the Year. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
And across the world, an active volcano in Mexico. The country issues warnings for residents to stay indoors after ash travels for miles. And what South Korean doctors are saying about the health condition of a North Korean defector who was shot along the demilitarized zone. Shocking details about what they found while performing surgery. More ahead. Egypt begins burying the victims of the deadliest terror attack in the country's modern history. A funeral procession marched today at dawn. A school teacher and his son were just two of the worshipers inside the mosque when about 30 militants carrying an ISIS flag attacked. NBC's Bill Neely has the latest from Cairo, and we need to tell you some of this video may be disturbing.
Yes, hello. Well, it's the end of a second day of mourning here in Egypt, and there's still deep shock in the capital city, Cairo, and across the country at this horrific massacre. The death toll rose some time ago to 305, including 27 children. 120 people or so are still being treated in hospitals across Egypt. There has been a military response after the massacre. President Sisi has sent up his warplanes. They've been attacking vehicles, and arms dumps said to have been involved in this attack. And the Egyptian government says there were up to 30 gunmen involved. They surrounded the mosque. They were at every window and every door. Now, ISIS hasn't claimed responsibility, but there's no question it was responsible for this attack. It's carried out dozens of such attacks in the Sinai Peninsula, but usually it targets security forces. For President Sisi, this is a big issue. Yes, you can have a military response today and tomorrow, but he stands for stability and for security. And there are neither of those things in the Sinai Peninsula at the moment. People are deeply worried. There have been mass funerals here, mass graves in the towns around that mosque, and deep, deep anger at what has happened. This, not just the worst terror attack in Egypt's history, but one of the worst attacks ever in the Middle East. Back to you.
Spectacular eruptions southeast of Mexico City as a Mexican volcano spews smoke and ash high into the air. The volcano had 3 eruptions yesterday. One reached 2.5 miles into the sky. 2 more explosions overnight spread ash over the villages and fields just south of the volcano. Popo, as it's known, regularly emits smoke and ash. North Korea has replaced nearly all their soldiers along the border where one of their former comrades defected. That's according to a South Korean lawmaker. Anna Curran has the update.
Last week's defection of a North Korean soldier using an army jeep to cross the DMZ. It now seems that North Korea is trying to fortify its border. Well, this image, tweeted by a high-ranking official at the US Embassy who has since visited the DMZ, shows North Korean soldiers digging a deep trench close to where the 24-year-old made his daring escape under a hail of bullets from his comrades. The soldier was hit up to 5 times, mainly in the abdomen, chest and arms, before collapsing against a wall 50 metres inside South Korea. Well, the US and South Korean soldiers who rescued him some 40 minutes after he crossed the demarcation line were awarded Army Commendation Medals for their efforts in saving his life. Well, this soldier lost more than 50% of his blood and was almost dead by the time he was medevaced to hospital. He underwent several life-saving surgeries, and when doctors opened him up, they discovered dozens of parasitic worms, some up to a foot long, which they say is the result of poor hygiene and malnutrition. Now, the soldier, he is off life support, he is conscious and talking, and today his doctors moved him from ICU into a general ward, which just goes to show the progress that he's making. However, his head surgeon believes that it will be some time, perhaps a month, before he is psychologically ready to talk about his defection. Back to you.
Coming up, a moose on the loose, how the large animal has been creating mayhem for a community all day. But first, Lozelia.
Well, folks, temperatures are going down, and they're going down fast, and I'm not just talking about those overnight lows. I'll have details you don't want to miss coming up.
And new information into our newsroom this evening. Joshua Tree search and rescue officials are searching for a missing hiker, 18-year-old Ulysse Gherkin from Belgium. He is described as 5'11" with blonde hair and a thin build. Last seen wearing a dark gray shirt, tan cargo pants, and an orange backpack. He was dropped off at the Boy Scout trailhead near Indian Cove several days ago for a backpacking trip and failed to show up at his rendezvous point yesterday. Now, if you have any information about this missing hiker, please contact the Joshua Tree Search and Rescue.
Good Saturday evening to all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Lustelia Caballero. Well, today was another warm day. In fact, will be a warm weekend moving forward. But of course, as that low pressure system comes into our valley and really makes itself cozy here, temperatures will drop. And I'm talking about dropping into the 70s. But before we get too into all of that, I want to thank each and every one of you for sending in beautiful pictures. And of course, if you want to increase your chances of getting featured on our wall, please upload your photo on Instagram and hashtag KMIR News. Current conditions at Palm Springs International, beautiful 77 degrees, dew point and humidity on the rise at this hour. As far as peak heat of the day, let's take a look at these numbers. 89 degrees, 73 is what's average for this time of year, so we are above average for this time of year. Back in 1933, 93 degrees. As far as wind speed goes, rather calm along the valley floor tonight. That's going to continue to be the case going into tomorrow. And of course, Monday, wind speeds will start picking up slowly but surely as those Santa Anas start affecting wind speeds here in the valley. And Tuesday should be a very chilly day, and our temperatures will surely reflect that. As far as tomorrow's highs, 87 degrees in Thermal, 84 in Mecca, and of course, popular number on the board, 88 degrees. As we move into our mountain areas, we'll see a significant drop, 70 degrees in Idlewild to our folks in Morongo Valley, 79 degrees. As far as the next couple of days go, we're starting the next work week in the 70s. But as far as tomorrow, we're still going to be in the 80s, 87 degrees. And then Monday, as you can see, 74, Tuesday, 76, Wednesday, same deal. Thursday, we're looking at 72 degrees, Friday, 74. But take a look at these lows. We are in the low 60s and high 50s, low 50s. So, Sarah, those temperatures are surely reflecting the season. And of course, we have lots of things to look forward to, especially outdoor activities.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have a little break from the heat. Well, a moose on the loose creates quite a stir in the suburbs north of Toronto, Canada today. The big 2-year-old bull was caught on camera dodging traffic, galloping through neighborhoods and knocking down a fence. It's estimated to weigh between 12 and 1,500 pounds. It was first spotted around 7 this morning as it made its way to a local airport property near a runway. The moose was not captured, but animal experts believe it's taking a well-deserved nap now after a long day on the run. Well, Black Friday is a big day for major retailers in America, but today is for the little guys. How American crafters are going up against the big box stores. Coming up. Etsy sellers join Small Business Saturday hoping for a Black Friday-like boost in sales. Kate Rogers has the story.
Etsy seller Matthew DeMio has been prepping for the holidays since October. The shopping season is key for DeMio, owner of Mateo Mattia in New Rochelle, New York, when sales for his handmade leather goods can increase by more than 100%.
It's exciting to be around other small retailers and small makers. It's people who think like me, who act like me and work like me. So we're all sort of in the same court together.
The American Express sponsored holiday is in its 8th year and has seen grassroots support for local businesses like this one increase in a big way. Last year, some 112 million consumers reported shopping small, up from 95 million the year prior. And what's more, they spent more than $15 billion on the day. This year, some 7,000 communities nationwide are gearing up to participate in the day.
A small merchant can give that personal service, that personal touch, that recommendation, the fact that they know you, they see you, you come back on a daily basis. That's really, really important to consumers, that personalized service. I think that's what a small merchant, a small establishment, small retailer can do to make a huge difference. That customer experience, that unique one, that personalized experience is what makes it special.
That customer experience is what Sarah Stroman believes sets her apart from big box competitors. She'll also be at the Etsy Sellers Marketplace tomorrow selling her handmade stationery. During the holidays, she sees her sales go up by some 50%.
It's completely different to buy something from somebody who's actually physically made it and can tell you about it. And I think that's important.
And data show customers agree with Stroman. According to Amex and the National Federation of Independent Business, 61% of consumers said they are aware of Small Business Saturday, and 82% plan to either shop or dine small on that day.
That was Kate Rogers reporting. Now that Thanksgiving is over, the countdown to Christmas begins, but one hotel in San Diego is flipping things upside down this year. Find out how next. A San Diego hotel flips a Christmas tradition on its head, displaying an upside-down Christmas tree in the lobby of the Hotel del Coronado. Staffers say they went out on a limb this year for Christmas. It's a whimsical Christmas, and guests appear to be split on the topsy-turvy tree. Well, something different, I guess. Have a great night.